Hello, everyone. I'm Joanne Binford, and welcome to Binford Chronicles. Listen, as of today, Trump has been in office for 92 days. Trump's 2025 wins include tariffs, jobs. Apple and TSMC have committed to building in the USA. Manufacturing growth is going to go up. Borders, we have apprehensions down. Defense, standing strong against China's aggression. And energy, we're going to be drilling, baby, drilling, making America energy independent. And of course, Doge, we wanted that government oversight. We wanted the audits, and we're getting them. So we're on the road to greatness. So a lot's going on, but let's not lose sight of our role in all of this. We have to do the work as constituents, as voters. We have a responsibility to stay informed because knowledge is truth. That starts by paying attention. Who's running as a grassroots candidate, and get out there and vet them. Who's the incumbent in office, and are they upholding the Constitution? Are they working for we the people or not? These are questions that we need to ask and actions we need to take. People, we have an election coming up in 2026. Now is the time to vet candidates more carefully. Visit thefreedomindex.org to research the incumbent's constitutional voting record. Let's move beyond one issue voting and start electing constitutional oath keepers who serve with integrity, morality, and principle. Binford Chronicles will do its best to bring on conservative candidates running for office for your benefit, but you have to do the work. Today, I'm giving you an opportunity to listen to a grassroots candidate that is running for Florida State Senate District 8. Sergeant Jason Voelz is a dedicated professional with a diverse background in military service, law enforcement, and real estate. Sergeant Voelz did 3 NTC rotations, 1 JROTC rotation, deployment to Montana wildfires, and a deployment to Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom 2. He conducted over 250 combat missions. He earned his combat spurs and was recommended for a Bronze Star while serving as company retention officer. This is an amazing grassroots candidate brought to you by Binford Chronicles. So do you want to meet this candidate? I do, absolutely. So we're going to have a great show for you today. Stick around for this exclusive interview with Sergeant Jason Voelz. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Warrior Shield Foundation is here to unite, honor, and provide support for veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members. The foundation will enable them to find the help they need through direct assistance or by connecting them with our shared vision network. Using data-driven models, we provide solutions that make a long-lasting difference. We, along with our partners, are dedicated to bringing together like-minded groups and individuals who have committed to making a difference in the lives of our hardworking, everyday heroes. We bridge the gap by connecting warriors or their families with the assistance they deserve and require, such as service dogs, wheelchairs, counseling, scholarships, and team building retreats, to name a few. You can help right now to make a difference for those who have helped and protected us all. Warrior Shield Foundation, selflessly doing for those who need it most.
It's a long way to home, but you won't take the hard road all alone. Just look to your left and look to your right. You were born to fight.
Hello, Sergeant Voelz. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you have a great background to share with us today and what drove you to enter the race. Can you start by telling us a little about yourself and how your wife took the news of you deciding to run for this race?
Well, she knows me well. I did throw her to the wolves, and this was kind of a decision I made, and then had the discussion with her. So she's 100% supportive. There's a lot of factors that took place in my life to get me here. I assure you, I had no ambitions to be a politician, but my calling and my purpose has brought me to this path, and I'm just following the path, and it's a lot of fun.
There's a lot to do when you're running for office, isn't there?
One thing I'm learning, this is a lot of work. It is. It's not what people see on TV. It is a job. This is the longest job interview I've ever experienced.
And it's a continuous job interview, isn't
Yes,
it?
it
Yeah.
is. It is.
Yeah. So, tell us a little about your military background and how those experiences are going to help you as running into this position as a Senate seat.
I joined the military when I was 17, uh, and I was fresh out of high school for 2 weeks before getting shipped off to basic training. I was a 21B combat engineer stationed out of Fort Hood. I I know they changed the name of the post. I don't know what the new post name is, but I'll still refer to Fort Hood. Was part of 1st Cav, 8th Engineers, and spent most of my time away from home. Did a lot of training. Out of my 5 years, I was gone 3 of them. Was deployed to OIF 2, where I was stationed in South Baghdad, and did 252 combat missions.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. That's a lot of work in a short
It
period
is.
of time.
It
It's a
is.
lot. I want to thank you very much for serving our country.
Well, thank
It's
you.
it's it's a real commitment. I mean, soldiers don't always know whether they're going to be in a field or if they're not. They don't know if they're going to be in battle. It's like you sign up and you really don't know your mission until it's given to you.
Well, true story. I joined before any war. There was no war when I enlisted. And obviously, after 9/11, it did motivate me to excel in anything I did. Uh, I did get promoted to sergeant in 22 months. Now, I don't know for your viewers, um, to be an NCO in 22 months is unheard of.
How did you accomplish that?
A lot of hard work, going to school while being deployed, uh, uh, expert in PT, expert in shooting. Those do help. Um, ace the board, the promotion board, all those things got me to where I needed to, or the point system. I'm not sure if they still have the point system, but I made points the very first month that they came out.
So did joining the military and being in the military and all the experiences that you experienced, did that give you a stronger love for your nation and a stronger loyalty to the Constitution of the United States?
Well, I put my life on the line 13 times to protect the Constitution and this nation. So I firmly believe and stand behind it. It's kind of hard to turn away after that.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you these questions because the Senate seat, these are pretty important seats in our government. So how will you ensure your decisions reflect your oath to uphold the Constitution?
Good question. Doing the right thing. That's the way I've always held myself in the military and law enforcement, and even outside of that in my career. Just doing the right thing. And the right thing is what's on paper already, and upholding that. there are a lot of things that I don't agree with that have been since passed that I hope to change. But I got to get there first.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Everybody has to be elected before they can really make any change. But it's good to have a plan and a focus. So the next question I wanted to ask you is, where do you stand on states' rights versus federal outreach?
I stand behind state rights. The less the federal government is touching stuff, the better. And love what's going on in Washington right now. The less they touch, the less they can, or essentially the less they can screw up, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing a lot of good things come out of Washington, and that's hard to say. You don't usually hear that, but I'm anxious to see what the next 3 or 4 years hold while he's in office. And we, as Florida, need to prepare for those things to be handed back down to us. One
Mm-hmm.
is education.
Yeah, education has been such a big deal, and I've been very grateful that we've had Ron DeSantis as governor, because he has really made some changes. And I was kind of nervous that he was going to leave us as a president, but I'm glad that he is still here with us. We've had those issues with DEI and CRT. And where do you stand on state mandates and curriculum like DEI or CRT?
Well,
Really?
I know Tallahassee just passed a law lowering the standard to graduate. I don't agree with that.
Mhm.
Either you have to have some type of standard, and lowering it is not what I would consider improving our education system. Uh, the local school boards, they have a lot on their plate. I know in this district alone, District 8, Volusia is at a $25 million shortfall, and they're talking about closing schools down. Um, Obviously, at the state level, they would probably have to get involved to help fix that right, get down the right path. Um, I don't know how they
So,
became $25
so it's
million short, but that's a big issue.
so they didn't come up short, students. They came up short that $25 million.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're not having an issue with students leaving.
I don't know where the issue is on that. I'm kind of digging more into it. It just came out not that long ago, but they're talking about closing down schools, and I don't know if it's because we're losing students or students aren't going into schools and they're doing homeschooling. I'm not sure where that's playing out, but they're talking about turning certain schools into charter schools. Well, that's great for some, but you know,
Well, the
I
way
don't
I
think that's a
understand it,
solution.
yeah, the way I understand it is that when, for each student, the school gets FTE money, so that each student brings funds towards the school. So when you
Right.
lose students, you're losing money. And we've had that issue here in Indian River County, where we've lost over 1,000 students. And so the schools have to, when they lose students, they also lose teachers, because the funding, you don't get that amount of funding for the school anymore. And that's why they do like school counts. They do they call them student counts for FTE in the beginning of the school year. Then they do them again like 3 or 4 months later to see if they're maintaining the registration of students, or if students are declining. And if students are declining, then they have to freeze hiring teachers or let teachers go. So student count makes a big difference in the money that comes into the school. A lot of parents here have gone to homeschooling. So how do you feel about supporting school choice and parental rights in education?
100%. I got 3 kids of my own. Uh, I feel I'm the best decision maker for my kids, not the local government or federal government. It should be on us to raise our own kids, and only getting certain things to help us raise our children, telling us when our kids need to go to school and how long they need to go to school. That's what's up in Tallahassee right now. What time school starts and what time it ends. I don't see how that's benefiting the education system, but as far as school choice goes, totally support it. And we've come a long ways from that.
So you support homeschool moms being able to take their kids out of school and use funds for homeschooling.
Absolutely.
That's good. Yeah, because that's what's been happening, actually.
Mhm.
Homeschoolers have been taking their kids out of school and they've been homeschooling. And, if they can use those funds to continue homeschooling and building homeschool programs, I think it's well spent.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking about accountability and transparency. And when listening to your constituents, will you work within constitutional law?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm asking that question because, sometimes constituents really want to make demands about things because they're feeling emotional about things, but emotionality doesn't always align with constitutional law. So
You're right.
that's why I was asking that question, because if we look at some of the laws that have been made, they really have nothing to do with the Constitution, but for some reason they're making laws that are not constitutional.
I agree.
Yeah. And how do you feel about term limits? Would you support term limits or have measures to reduce career politicians?
We here in Florida, we do have some term limits for most elected officials, except for the federal level. I absolutely support term limits. It gives fresh faces in there, new ideas, and frankly, the ones that are in there the longest are usually the ones that are the worst people to make the decisions further down the road.
Mm. Yeah, I like that you have the background in law enforcement, and you've been through a lot in law enforcement. And tell us about your law enforcement experience.
I am a retired police officer. I got medically retired in 2014. I was injured on the job. I was law enforcement for 10 years, a month short of 10 years. I say 10. And it provided me with a ton of experience in our society. And it is interesting. Our society is very cruel world that we live in.
It is. It is. We have a little video of an incident, and that was you. The video that we have of. Can you? I'm going to show the video, and can you narrate to us what happened that day?
Yeah. So this is December 19th, 2010. I was run over by a drunk driver. That is me dead on the side of the road. There is a paramedic. He was off duty, seen the accident, pulled over, and is really the main reason why I'm still here.
So he saved your life.
Yes. Yeah.
So, wow, that was traumatic. How much time did you end up spending in the hospital after that tragic accident?
I've had numerous surgeries and procedures, and I'm not Superman, but I am a man of steel. This side of me is pretty much all metal. I went home on Christmas that year. I shouldn't have. I was still pretty hurt, but I did not want to be in the hospital. I told my family, if I'm going to die, I want to just die at home. So they took me home. I ended up back in the hospital about a week later for another surgery, internal bleeding. And I think I spent another week or so in the hospital the second time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service. Not only have you done military service, but you've been a law enforcement officer as well. And being a law enforcement officer, what's your stance on, because a lot of the law enforcement officers now, police officers, even here in Vero Beach, have to think about the moment that they're going to be working with ICE regarding immigration. So, what's your stance on immigration enforcement at the state level?
So at the state level, and some of your viewers might disagree with this. Some of the things that they try to pass for immigration stuff, I didn't agree with it. One, they're here illegally. They're already breaking the law. There's no
Mhm.
reason to make another law to make them more of a criminal. They're already a criminal, right? They're not here legally. So we already have laws in place to deport them. It's just enforcing the laws we already have on the books. It really is. And ICE will tell you that however they operate usually comes from the top down. So letting them do their jobs is all they need. That's really all they need. And just being a resource to help them. If I came across somebody that was here illegally, it took 5 minutes to put a detainer on them. It's literally, hey, I got somebody here. They talk to them. Yeah, we put a hold on them. That's it. That's really how quick it is. And
Mhm.
just having the abilities for them to come pick them up at our local jails is really, helping the process out, making it smoother for them. What we have is certain cities not helping that process. And that's where I think we should step in at the state level and make sure that our local municipalities are participating and helping the federal government do what they're supposed to.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And what you're saying, I kind of heard at one of our city council meetings where the council members were asking the city police chief how he would handle ICE if they came in for immigration, and he pretty much kind of described it the way you were. He was like, we are just helping them. We don't. It's not, they're the ones that take them on the federal level, but we just assist. That's all we do.
Right.
Uh,
And
so
that's the perfect way to let your viewers know that we already have all the laws we need to. If anything needs to be refined up in Washington, it would be uh, how they come here legally. That's it. They're already here illegally, so we need to handle it how the laws are written right now.
mhm. Yeah. So yeah, that's very familiar to me. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, Also, we have issues with our economy and taxes. What's your stance on property taxes and cutting unnecessary state spending?
Well, I know there's a big push to eliminate property tax. There's another big push to uh, give $1,000 to homeowners as a rebate from Tallahassee.
Mhm.
Um, I like the idea, but in reality, I I don't see how we get there because you're talking about $82 billion in property taxes. They're going to
Wow.
collect it somewhere, all right,
Mhm.
and that's going to be a consumption tax. Now, right now, Florida has a tax credit of $5,000 for 100% disability veteran, right? So if you're a veteran with 100% disability, you don't pay property tax until after $5,000 of your property taxes are assessed. If we eliminate that and we start collecting a consumption tax, now that same veteran is going to be taxed. They're going to be paying a higher tax somewhere. That's things that we haven't really looked at as far as eliminating property tax. I see that hurting the veterans more than helping.
So if would they be able to write a bill that includes a consumption tax and then like a homestead for military veterans that would include that $5,000 100% injured uh, deduction.
I think we need to improve the exemptions or tax credits for veterans, because if you're 99% disabled, you only get a $5,000 tax exemption, which translates to about $100. The only way you get a $5,000 tax credit on your property taxes if you're 100%. Now, I know that I'm a disabled veteran. I'm not 100%, but you know, if you start weighing stuff out, let's make housing affordable for our veterans. How do we do that? Well, lowering taxes is one of them. Insurance is another. Those are two things that I'm trying to tackle, or would tackle, if I get up there.
Yeah, and those are important issues because Floridians suffer financially due to property insurance.
Yes.
And do you have a plan to alleviate this hardship?
So I have an insurance background. I sold my insurance business in 2017. I know the insurance business. I know how to fix this. I know how they got themselves into this, and it wasn't overnight. It's a very simple fix. I say that it's not simple. It's simple for me up here. I know how to get us there, but my elections aren't until next year, and if I do take office, it ain't till 2027. So for me to sit on this information is hard. I'm willing to talk to anybody in Tallahassee to get the ball rolling to fix it. I'm not here to sit on this information.
Yeah, and I think the last time I talked to you, you've been to Tallahassee already trying to talk to people about this, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, when I went down there, they were in session and just busy. They were busy. Obviously, I'm popping in.
Yeah, during sessions, you need to make appointments. That's the only
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, during sessions, but if it's not, that's really the only way to do it, because if they're not in session, they're not always there.
Right. Right.
They're in their districts mostly. So I would suggest next time make appointments with all your reps, because that's what we do. I told you last time I travel with a group, Republican Liberty Caucus, up to sessions. I didn't go this year, but like last year I went, and they set up all the appointments. So anybody else out there who's listening, if you want to speak to your representatives, make appointments during sessions and get up there and talk with them.
Good advice.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask you was regarding small businesses and the local economy. Do you have a plan for protections from burdensome regulations? A lot of small businesses just can't get their foot off the ground because they're so inundated with regulations.
Well, I am a small business owner. I know the troubles that I run into are very common to anybody else that run a business. There are many things that I know we can do at the state level to help not only just the small business owner, but improve employees' pays and bring better jobs to this area.
Yeah, that's really important because a lot of people are coming from up north, and that's just jacking up the housing prices.
Yes.
Because Florida's housing relatively has always been a lower cost of living. And these people are coming from states where housing is just astronomical. So when they look at our house, they're like, oh, I can pay cash for that. And it's blowing our prices out of the water.
A big factor in that is our interest rates, where they are right now. So that's hopefully in the next year, something plays out with that. But there are many things driving up home prices here. And you're right. It's not affordable. It's not.
It's not. It really isn't. And, the other thing I was worried about is people have even come to me, telling me this. People are worried about another pandemic, that they're going to be planning another pandemic. And they want to know, where do you stand on medical freedom and informed consent?
Well, it's your body. You can, if you choose to go down that path, that's your choice. When I was in the military, I did fight for getting vaccines. One was yellow fever. I did not want that shot. And my wife was pregnant at the time and didn't have to get it, but they stuck me on the walking up to the plane, going to Iraq. So I was like, I know what it's like for the government to force you to get something that you don't want to get. And unfortunately, in the position I was in, I didn't have a choice. And so transverse that into civilian life. No, you can't have the government forcing people to do stuff. That's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of us, even my husband, was worried about having to be forced to make a decision that he was not willing to make. The other thing I'm thinking about is what's your position on the medical? This is a tough one. Okay, so brace yourself. But this is an issue that has been throughout all the states, and even Governor Ron DeSantis had to face this. And it is a tough issue I'm going to ask you about. But you're running for a Senate seat, a Florida Senate seat in District 8. So what is your position on the medical decisions parents are making to either place their children on hormone blockers for transition or to have transitional surgery?
That's a hard no for me. That is a mental health issue, 100%. And disfiguring a child is, man, that's tough. I mean, you want to get me going. That's
It is. It's a real tough issue, and I have to commend DeSantis for really standing up for that. A lot of states just didn't have the cojones to do it, and somebody's got to be an advocate for the children. And it's going to be a tough subject because there's a small percentage of people that really believe that this is a normal thing to do.
I can't believe we have doctors that would perform such procedures, to be honest with you. And that would be a man. But how many of us growing up still believe the same stuff that we did when we were younger? It's silly to think that a irreversible procedure is a way to go at any age under the age of 18. If somebody turns 18 and decides to do it, I mean, I still am going to disagree with it, but you're an adult. So
yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that answer. So I'm going to ask, it's kind of early to ask this question, but can you commit to putting the Constitution and your constituents ahead of party politics?
Absolutely.
It's pretty deep in there, the political realms of, even the Republican Party has its issues with people worrying more about running and keeping their position than about standing for the Constitution and the people.
I've put my life on the line many times for the Constitution, and my ethics won't allow me to break that. I can promise that. And if I'm ever put in a situation where I have to break that, trust me, everybody's going to know about it and why.
Yeah. So, how many events have you been to so far? I know you're just getting started, and I understand as grassroots candidates, you guys need to get started early to get your name out there.
Yeah. So one, I am the underdog, but I'm going to set the standard for this seat. This is, in my opinion, the most important seat coming up for election this year, or next year. I'm sorry. And I don't know how anybody's going to be able to work harder than I plan on it. Obviously, I've been to 4 events so far. I have a lot more in the works. We have a lot. I've built a really good team. And what most people don't know is I've been planning this since October 10th of last year. And if you wonder what that date is, it was Hurricane Milton.
That's right, Hurricane Milton. Yep, and you kind of saw what happened with Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, I was a victim of Milton and Ian due to flooding, and I don't live in a flood zone.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. It's because of the new housing developments that were being built now created a flood zone in your area. So they're obviously building those houses higher, um, stacking the ground around you guys. So you're kind of like valleying out, aren't you?
Yeah, Volusia alone in the last no, since Ian has received $650 million worth of hurricane damage, and most of it's
Wow.
flooding. So uh, it's a huge problem, especially for one county. And I don't see things getting moving to prepare us for the next hurricane season. That's my concern because my friends and family live here. I do business here, so
Mhm.
it doesn't just affect me; it affects everybody I know. So the people that really know me, they know I'm coming with a purpose.
Yeah, and you being in real estate, you pretty have a good idea of what the demographics are. You have an idea of how the properties look. You grew up in Florida. So, but now that those new properties are built, how do you fix that?
You go through, so the way things are being built now, they're built to sustain certain things for that development. Everything else around it is being affected because of it. So you're going to have to go back in and really evaluate what has been there for 30, 40 years and update it and fix those things to prevent what's going on. A lot of things failed here. That's what took place. It wasn't yes, it was a lot of rainwater, but things failed. That's what caused all the flooding both times. Our infrastructure failed and we're not fixing it. We're not fixing
Mhm.
it the way it should be
So
fixed.
you've got like drainage, like water off pipes, runoff pipes. Are they big enough to handle all of the water, or are they getting clogged? Or,
All the above, right? And one extreme example here. I've lived most of my life, or I'd say half of it, in Texas, right? Um, do you know how many lakes in Texas are natural?
Mm-mm.
One. They have over 200 lakes. They make their own lakes there. There's plenty of places here where we can make a lake for emergency situations and pump the water in, right?
Mhm.
That's a pretty simple idea, or one of many ideas that can be addressed, but um, I just don't see things being done, not only at the state level, but at the local level too. My biggest thing is being a resource at the state level for all the local governments to help them get where they need to fix these problems.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. Now, what counties do you cover?
So District 8 covers in Ormond, Granada, the road south, all the way down to NASA Parkway in Brevard, from the ocean all the way to the land. That's District 8. It's almost a million people.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot of people. How many Republican voters are in that area, in that whole section that you're covering?
Good question. So the last check, it is 65% Republican.
Wow. And
Yeah,
how many have you guys run the numbers to see how many turn out for the primaries and how many turn out
yeah.
for the general election?
So I'm a combat veteran. I didn't jump into this without a battle plan. Definitely did my homework before I even turned in paperwork. So uh, it's about 30% on a odd year, a governor year. It's about 30%.
Yeah, that's about average. That's
Yeah,
that's about
yeah.
average.
For a primary, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do the general elections look like? Does it drop or does it go up in the general
It goes
election?
up a very small fraction, maybe 2 points.
Yeah, that's my goal. I would like to see our county here reach 40%. I know it's high hopes, but when I looked at the state of Florida, I was very curious to see what the percentages were. Not many go over 36%. I think the highest one I found was 36%.
Now, if we don't have a Democrat in this race, it goes straight to the or general election.
Mhm.
So I'm sure somebody will jump in, but if not, we'll go all the way to the end. So
Yeah, you won't know till later because, like I said, you're a grassroots candidate, so you'll be starting way ahead before anybody else does. Anybody else that has already name notoriety or the incumbent. So I want to wish you a lot of luck with your race,
thank
and
you.
Sergeant Voelz, I want to thank you for joining us today and for taking on this difficult task. It's not easy to run, and running for office is it's a hard campaign to work. It takes all your energy. And of course, a lot of people are still working. Not everybody's retired when they run.
Very
And
true. Very true.
it takes a lot of time and it's support from your family. Your wife is, she's got to watch the kids, or she's got to take care of all the things that you're not able to take care of because you're out um, canvassing or campaigning, and or going to events with you. She's going to have to go with you at some times, to show that unity. But it's a whole family support. Takes a lot. It really takes a lot, and I want to thank you
It,
for that.
it takes not only a special person, but a special family to run for any position. To be honest with you, because um, what I'm doing at the state level is probably not much different than down to the city level, even school boards. You got to get your name out there. You got to get your voice out there and deliver a message and earn the trust of the community.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you're able to relate to law enforcement and all the things that they have to deal with today. Law enforcement really has it hard. They've been criticized. Now we've got a lot of these protests for uh, Doge and for the immigration, deporting people, and our people don't look at our police officers and understand that it's their job to assist. And like you said, you don't have to be a hard criminal. The fact that you crossed illegally is an illegal act on the United States. And that is reason for, deporting. And
Exactly.
it's not a mean thing. It's not a hateful thing. It's just a lawful thing. And I think it's great that you worked in the military and you've had all that discipline instilled in you. I think military guys are kind of like police officers. They're a different breed of people.
Very, very true. Very true.
Very detailed, very focused, just can handle a lot of things, that most people can't. And I'm so glad that you survived your accident that looked like a tragic moment in your life, and which, your relatives and family might have been so worried about you. And I'm thankful for you being here today with us.
I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, like I said, my journey's been pretty interesting. We've kind of just touched a little bit here and there. Um, uh, I have a purpose, and again, we're going to fight through it, and I'm very confident we'll succeed in the end.
So let's read off your campaign page, which is arealvoiceforyou.com. That's arealvoiceforyou.com. And the phone number, if you want to contact Sergeant Voelz, it's 386-434-4663. That's 386-434-4663. And again, arealvoiceforyou.com. Jason, I'm going to put you in the green room, but I don't want you to leave yet because I want the stream to finish and upload, and I'll meet you in the green room. So hang out back there after I've placed you there. Okay.
Sure thing.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for visiting Binford Chronicles. We're going to put Jason in the green room, and I'm just going to address my audience now. And I want to tell everybody, thank you for joining us again at Binford Chronicles. We are going to, now that elections are getting ready to start for 2026 elections, we're going to start interviewing some candidates. So we're going to try to get candidates on air for you so that you can come on board, you can ask questions, you can review their tapes. It's another way for you to vet them. You can see their information, get in contact with them. And this is a great opportunity for you to play your role as a constituent and get somebody in office that's constitutional, that has moral, that focuses on morality, principle, and integrity. And that's what we need to represent us. And stick with us. Remember to hit the thumbs up, like, share, follow, subscribe, and make sure you check us out on Rumble, X, Facebook, and YouTube. And for local news, visit IndianRiverConnections.com, and also visit our podcast through IndianRiver.com, IndianRiverConnections.com, the board report, which is airing every Friday at 7 p.m. And that's going to bring you the local news of your school board, fentanyl in our neighborhoods, all kinds of information, fluoride in the water. We've got advocates out there working for the better of our community, and they're going to come on and tell you what they've discovered and tell you how you can help. So for 2026 candidate interviews, visit my local conservative podcast at BinfordChronicles.com. And thank you again for joining Binford Chronicles.